Well, hello everybody. It's Angie the Coder, and today is March 30th. And today is the day that I told you guys that I was going to announce the winner of the coding tool that I'm giving away. In the last video, I told you guys that I was going to give away one of my laminated 2021 EM coding tools, and I will be doing that at the end of this video. So stick around to the very end. If you are new to my channel, welcome. It is so good to have you. I hope you'll consider being a subscriber. So, if you want to be a subscriber, hit the subscribe button. And if you like what I'm doing, give me a thumbs up if this is helpful information for you. And welcome. For those of you guys that are already subscribers and have been coming and watching my videos, welcome back. It is always good to see you guys. It's so good to see you again. And today, speaking of those of you that have been around a while, I'm getting a lot of questions from you guys, which I really appreciate. I appreciate your questions and your comments, and I'm trying to answer them as fast as I can. But remember, I'm learning this stuff right alongside of you guys. So I got my little, I'm kind of struggling through some of this myself, but we're gonna do this together. We are gonna learn these guidelines together. So that's kind of what this video is going to be about. This video is going to be about me answering a few of the questions that I've received from you guys. Because I figure if one person or two people have asked a question, that most of us are thinking about it. And first of all, I do want to thank you for your questions because you guys have brought up things I haven't even considered. As I'm doing my coding, you kind of think things are a certain way, and then someone asks you a question and it shakes you out of that and makes you realize, hey, wait a minute, maybe I'm thinking about this wrong. And the question we're going to talk about today is one of those things for me. It was something that I was doing sort of the old way when I first started doing these guidelines. And when I got questions about it, I went and dug into the guidelines deeper and realized, hey, I'm not doing this right. I could be doing this better. And so thank you guys for your questions because we're helping each other. So I hope I'm helping you as much as you guys are helping me. So that's what we're going to start doing. I'm going to start trying to address some of your questions in videos so that we can all share them and talk about these questions and answers, okay? So, as I always say, if you're new to the channel, you don't know this, but as I always say, get your guidelines and keep them close at hand because we're going to refer to them. Speaking of the guidelines, how many of you know that on March 9th, the AMA actually made some revisions to the guidelines? Okay, in case you didn't, I want to make sure that you click on the link below or go out to the AMA and get the newest version of these guidelines, like I said, which came out on March 9th, and all the changes are highlighted in blue for you. So, see, lots and lots of blue in here, guys. I recommend that you go out. If you don't have this, get a new copy of it, download it, or go out and look at it and really, really, really investigate the changes. All right, so this is a question that I have received a lot. I think a lot of people had questions about this. The question, and I haven't phrased it very well here, but basically the question that I keep getting is, can I count the ordering of tests at one encounter and the review of the same test at the second encounter? So can I count the review of a test that was ordered at the last visit? No. And I'm going to show you in the guidelines why that's the answer.
Okay, so what I want you to do is go to your guidelines and flip to page 6. That's where I am right here. And zoom in and really pay attention to this paragraph that says analyzed. Tests ordered at are presumed to be analyzed when the results are reported. Therefore, when they are ordered during an encounter, they are counted in that encounter. So they're counted one time. They're counted when they're ordered at an encounter. But you say to me, but Angie, sometimes labs are ordered or tests are ordered and there's no face-to-face encounter. When they're talking encounters, they're talking about your office visit, your clinic visit. They go on to write the next statement, which clarifies this. For providers that order a test prior to the patient's encounter, that happens all the time. It says tests that are ordered outside of an encounter. So when they're ordered and the patient isn't in the office, they may be counted in the encounter in which they are analyzed. So let's talk about that. Provider knows the patient is coming in for their visit on March 10th. So when the patient makes their appointment, the provider says, okay, go ahead and order them a lipid panel or whatever they need. Say they have hyperlipidemia. Order this lab, and I want this lab, this fasting lab or whatever kind of lab done before the patient shows up on the 10th, because I'm going to use that information when I treat the patient. So the patient, maybe they have their lab done on the 2nd of March, but they don't actually come into the office until the 10th of March. When they come in on the 10th of March, the provider puts in his documentation that he reviewed that lipid panel and he makes his treatment decisions on the drugs and the therapy that the patient is going to get based on what those lab results say. Therefore, he should get credit for his analysis of data on that day. Okay, so another question that I'm seeing another question that I'm getting a lot is, can I get credit for an independent review of a test that I built? So another question I've been getting a lot has to do with, can I get credit in the MDM for an independent review of a test that I build out, say with the CPT code? Let's see what the guidelines say. So if you turn to page 3 and go to this section about services reported separately, looking in this paragraph right here, we're going to read it and then we're going to come back. I'm going to read it once and then we're going to come back and we're going to dissect it, because it's very important that we get this right. The ordering and actual performance and or interpretation of diagnostic tests /studies during a patient encounter are not included in determining the levels of EM service when the professional interpretation of those tests or studies is reported separately by the physician or other qualified healthcare professional reporting the EM service. Tests that do not require separate interpretation and are analyzed as part of the MDM do not count as independent interpretation, but may be counted as ordered or reviewed for selection of the MDM level. So let's break this down piece by piece, and I really want you to focus here. It says the ordering and actual performance and or interpretation of diagnostic tests or studies during a patient encounter, so that means when the patient's in the office or clinic, are not included in the determination of the levels of EM service. So they're not counted in the MDM when you're picking your level of service when the professional interpretation of those tests or studies is reported separately. That means there's a CPT code that goes out to report that service. That interpretation has a CPT code, such as, I think it's 93010 and that might have changed, but anyway, 93010 for physician interpretation of an EKG. And if it's reported by the physician or other qualified healthcare professional who is also reporting the EM service. So if you're billing an office visit and you're also billing, say, an x-ray with a 26 modifier on it or an EKG CPT code, then you can bill that, but you may not get credit for the interpretation or the ordering of that test. So if you guys will flip to the MDM, so if you flip to page 13, and we're going to start with the moderate section of the MDM grid. We're going to focus here in the middle column. This is the data column or the analysis column. If you go down here, you'll see this category 2, independent interpretation of tests. That's what they're talking about. If you read up here, it says for moderate, these must meet the requirements of at least one of the three categories, right? And so in the first category, this is your test or independent historians. So when you order a test, you get it, or when you review a test result, you get it. And then there's two other little categories, little bullet points here. But it takes 3 from category 1 to get moderate. It only takes 1 from category 2 to get moderate. So even if there's nothing else documented, if your provider documented that they did an independent review or independent interpretation of a test, then they're automatically in this column right here, they're automatically at the moderate level for data. So that's why this is it's kind of it's a heavy category. It gives you you get a lot of credit for that. So that's why it's not fair if the provider were to bill out a CPT code and then also try to get credit for it here. That wouldn't be fair. That would be double dipping. It wouldn't be fair. Not only can they not, if they bill out the CPT code, not only can they not get credit for it here, they also cannot get credit for the ordering of it either. They can't get credit for it in either place. They can only get credit for it with the CPT code that they built. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, so now we've covered those 2 questions. It's time for the fun stuff. Who is ready for the drawing? I'm excited because this is my first time ever doing a drawing, so I hope I do it well. What we're going to do to make it fair is I've put all of the names of everyone who said they wanted to be involved in the drawing. I put all of your names into a name picker, and we're going to use the name picker to randomly select the winner of the drawing. But if you remember right, I told you I have a surprise too. And the surprise is I'm not going to have just one winner. I'm going to pick 2 winners. So let's go see how this name picker thing works. It's called Pick Me, and all your names are on the pretty little wheel. So all we have to do now is tap this button over here and spin the wheel and announce who the first winner is. And the first winner is Tiffany Hannah. Congratulations, Tiffany. Tiffany, if you're paying attention, if you're listening right now, go ahead and email me at Angie@angiethecoder.com. Your email, not your email, but your address that you want your coding tool to be sent to. So your physical address. Let's hit the button again. Let's see if it's going to let me do it again. Woo! Yay, it did. That's so cool. We have to do more drawings because this is fun. All right, Greta Carpenter, you're our second winner. So Greta, I'm going to tell you the same thing. Congratulations. I'm going to tell you the same thing. And that's that you need to email me, Angie@angiethecoder.com. Email me, and all you have to do is tell me what address you want me to send your free EM coding tool to. Those of you who maybe don't know what we're talking about with this tool, or those of you that didn't win, I'm really sorry you didn't win, but I do have the tool available on my Etsy shop. This is what it looks like. This is the front of it, and this is the back of it, and I have multiple versions of it out there on my Etsy shop. One version is it's the one that you guys, the free one that you guys are going to get, and that's the laminated copy. Then I have a digital download, printable version of it, and then I also have a kit format where you get the laminated tool, plus you get a dry erase marker with it, because that's how I use it when I'm doing it, and I find that very helpful. So there's 3 different ways to get it on my Etsy shop. The Etsy shop link will be in the description below if you guys. Well, that about wraps up this video. We will see you in the next one, and until then, happy coding, y'all.